be screwed. Feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Issei, Rias meet BROLY. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Liquid's wrath on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Rainier was sitting down on the cold concrete floor in the basement. She had her knees up to her chin, and she was deep in thought. The world around her seemed as if it didn't exist, and she was in a world all by herself. Her eyes weren't sad or angry, they were just normal but empty. She was playing with her heels since there was nothing else to do. Her magic powers and her ability to pop her wings out were nullified from the HNDCFFS. Azazel's little experimentations with trying to subdue or even restrain anyone from escaping. Rainier quickly snapped out of her little world when she heard the doors open and someone coming down. She looked over and was a little scared to see who it is, but her eyes landed on that man again who easily defeated her with her ease and humiliated those two devils. She saw him coming towards her with a plate, but this time he looked different. He wasn't wearing his school uniform, but instead, he was shirtless, and he had blue tight pants and weird-looking boots with yellow stripes, and he had a towel wrapped around his waist for some reason. Rainier's eyes grew large, and she backed away little from him. She wasn't able to escape because he caught up to her. Rainier looked up at his towering height and gazed deep into his eyes. His shadow covered her whole. The only thing she was able to do was stare. The overwhelming fear took over her body, and she started to shake, but her eyes couldn't move away from his and her mouth was hanging open as well. BROLY crouched down, but Rainier backed away even more. "If you're going to RPE or torture me, then do it already," she said as she looked away and waited for him to use her body as he pleased. BROLY was a little confused by her words. "RPE? I'm not going to do that. RPE and torture are bad things to do. I just came here to train and give you this." BROLY put the plate down in front of her. Rainier looked over and saw 2 sandwiches on the plate, and she looked over at him to see if he was just trying to poison her something. "It's not poisoned or anything, I just thought you were hungry," BROLY said. "What are you doing? I should be dead or even imprisoned somewhere far away, but I'm here in the basement. Now tell me, why are you being so nice to me when I tried to kill you?" BROLY saddened a little. "Azazel said that he would do that, but not me. I think you're nice deep down. I don't see you being evil or mean. I don't know a lot about you, but I think I would like to because I don't have a lot of friends." Rainier was a little surprised by his words. He thought that she was nice or even become friends with him. "You want to be friends? I don't even know you or even what you want with me in the first place." BROLY grabbed her hands and pulled them towards him. His hands are so rough and gentle, Rainier thought. "Wait, hold on. What are you doing?" BROLY snapped the cuffs off with ease and her hands were freed. "What are you doing? Why did you do that?" "I want to be friends with you, and I could tell that you didn't like those cuffs around your wrists, so I broke them for you." Rainier rubbed her wrists, and she stood up a little confused by his actions. "You're strange. I don't understand how you're more powerful than Azazel. You don't even look strong in the first place." She was checking him out and trying to figure out he was stronger than Azazel. Her eyes laid upon his torso region, and she had a small tint of red on her cheeks. "You do seem to be strong, I'll tell you that. I just don't understand as to why I never heard of you." "There is a reason for that, Rainier," Azazel said as he walked down the steps. "Lord Azazel," Rainier bowed. "You're no longer a part of my team, Rainier. You lost that when you decided to team up with Cockabeel." "Then why am I still alive?" she asked. "Look, you're not my prisoner. You belong to BROLY here because he was the one who caught you and begged me to spare your life. After all, I can see he cares about you," Azazel said. BROLY left the 2 Fallens to chat while he went to go train. "I don't understand this at all. You said that BROLY is stronger than you, like light years stronger than you. If he is that strong, Then why don't you use him in the battle between the angels and devils? She asked. He isn't a weapon, Rainier, he is a person as well. I would never ask of him to fight for my cause, because I am not like that whatsoever. I think of him as a son I never had, Rainier, and besides, you have to think about the other problem as well. What do you mean? I don't see a problem in having a strong ally to help you out. Azazel shook his head in disappointment. Of course that is the only thing you see. Have you ever thought of what would happen if I was harboring both the heavenly dragons? The other factions would come and try to eliminate me before I could rise. Now think about what would happen if they found out I was keeping BROLY under my roof. Rainier finally understood what he was saying. She looked over at BROLY and saw him moving through the air so fast that her eyes can barely even catch up. She saw his destructive power at how he was smashing everything in his way with ease. Has he been doing this ever since? Nothing but train all day? She asked. Unfortunately, yes. I try to return home to hang out with him, but I can't because of work. He is always alone at home, and this is the only thing he ever does. But why? Can he go outside? No, he can't, because if he lost control or if someone tried to harm him, then. What? What would happen? She was starting to get even more curious about the mysterious warrior. I didn't come here to talk about BROLY. Where is Calawarner, Donasek, and Midelt? They have to be punished before they do something they will regret. I have heard rumors that Rias Gremory and her peerage will be trying to kill off your little team. Azazel said. Rainier snapped towards him. When is this supposed to happen? Tonight? That can't be possible. Listen here, if you tell me where they are, I will only imprison them, but if that Gremory girl were to reach them, then they will die, Azazel said sternly. We were supposed to grab the nun today and perform the ceremony tonight and extract the twilight healing from her. How did the devils figure out our hideout so fast? Rainier said angrily. Azazel sighed at how foolish and reckless she has gotten over the years. I will send a team to go capture your team and bring them in for going rogue. You and your band of misfits are practically stray devils, but angelic, Azazel said. There at the abandoned church on the hill, she said. What happened to you? Azazel asked. Look, I left with Cockabeel to at least get your attention, but I see that it did nothing, and all my strong work and efforts to get you to notice me failed miserably, she said disappointingly. I don't understand you. I had high hopes for you when you were under my wing, and you decided to throw it all away and join Cockabeel. He is a bloodthirsty war seeker, and he hates all this political stuff we do. Azazel reached in his yukata and pulled out a blade. What is that? This is an angelic blade, and it's used for killing angels or even fallen angels. I kept one after the war, and I think I know what I have to use this for now. Rainier was starting to get scared, and she was starting to slowly step back. Azazel was focused on the blade, and he didn't hear the sound of a Kai blast charging up until it was too late. BROLY, wait, Azazel said. BROLY didn't hear him, and he blasted the wall, and the entirety of the wall was pummeled. The ground shook a little from the attack, and Azazel walked over to him and hit him in the back of the head. Oh, oh, oh. Rainier's eyes felt as if they were about to pop out. You're lucky that those walls were heavily modified, because if not, then I think you would have sunk a whole block underground, Azazel said. Hold on a second. You're saying that little blast could have destroyed a whole neighborhood? Just who or what are you? I tried to detect what type of magic you use, and there is nothing that I have seen that is destructive as yours. You don't have demonic or angelic powers. Rainier tried to figure out. BROLY doesn't use magic. It's entirely different than what we use, but it's quite similar in ways, Azazel said. BROLY stopped his training for the day and went to go rest up a bit. I have to go, for now, so don't get into a lot of trouble. Azazel left the two alone in the basement and left to go to another meeting. BROLY realized that it was getting late, and he had to get to bed before he wakes up late and misses school. He ran up the steps and got cleaned up before jumping in bed and quickly falling asleep. Scene break. The sun rose and BROLY was finally awake. He dashed towards his closet to get dressed, and he tucked in his tail and ran out towards the living room to notice it was extremely quiet. There was no sign of any life near him whatsoever. He tried to sense some power levels around him and noticed that she was gone as well. Azazel was going to get mad at him for having her leave without his supervision. He didn't have time to worry, so he dashed out the door and ran towards the school. He was able to reach school grounds before the bell. The women of the school couldn't help but stare at how cute he was even after running. Issei was walking around the campus until he spotted BROLY. He recalled what happened last night and he tried telling his friends all about it, but it went miserably. Flashback. Issei ran back home after seeing what just happened at the park not too long ago. He reached his house and opened the door and shut it behind him with ferocity. "Welcome back, Issei." His mother tried greeting him, but he dashed right to his room and locked the door behind him. He covered his blinds and moved the curtains. "What the F was that SHT?" he yelled in a whisper tone. "How is that even possible? A woman with wings, actual wings, and can spawn spears as if reality didn't matter. And the transfer student can shoot magic green ball out of his hands. How is that possible?" he yelled in a whisper tone again. Issei had to sit down before he tipped over. He couldn't remove Yuuma's words from his head. "Can you die for me?" Those words sent chills up his spine and also sadness because that whole date was only for her to get to him and kill him. That whole date was fake and all feelings she showed to him were nothing but illusions. Issei decided to call Matsuda and tell him everything he saw. He grabbed his phone and dialed his number. Matsuda picked up and greeted him. "Yo, Issei. How's it going?" "I don't know, but I need to tell you something and don't freak out." Issei told Matsuda everything he saw and everything that has happened at the park. After he explained everything to him, there was a slightly awkward silence. "Issei, what type of pawn have you been watching? You gotta hook your fellow brothers up, man." "Wait, what?" Issei said. "You heard me. You gotta hook me and Madohama up. Angel role-playing is a new breed to the pawn industry, man. So you gotta tell me what site or what DVD you have because that sounds RTC as hell." "No. Wait, I'm telling you the truth, man. You have to believe me." Yeah. Whatever you say, just tell me where you found that video at tomorrow. Ciao." He ended the call and left Issei speechless. Flashback end? Class started and Issei wasn't able to pay attention. He was giving small glances at BROLY to see if he was going to do anything funny or even destroy this school. But surprisingly enough, nothing ever happened and class has ended. Issei was still looking at BROLY and he couldn't hear his name being called. Issei's shoulder was touched and he jumped from being spooked. He widened his eyes at who was standing in front of him. "You're Kiba, the one from the park and also the one who got pummeled." Kiba put on a fake smile. His right arm was in a cast and he had multiple bandages on his head and arm. There were also bruises and scrapes on his head and arm. "I need you and BROLY to come with me," Kiba said. BROLY looked up and his facial expression got serious. Kiba backed away a little in fear after what happened to him. "My president would like to speak with you both." BROLY listened and decided to follow him. Issei did the same and was in the back, trying to keep his distance from the transfer student. They finally reached the clubroom and they were greeted by Rias and her queen. Issei was surprised that she wanted to see him. BROLY and Issei both walked over towards the couch and saw Kaneko. She was covered in bruises and scrapes and the top of her head was bandaged up. Kaneko's eyes narrowed at seeing the transfer student. "Hello, brute," she said as she got up. Akino was smiling at the both of them and was giving glances mostly to BROLY. "They're so cute," she said. "Please, sit," Rias said authoritatively. Both of them sat down and Rias quickly went to business. "Now then, let us begin with you, BROLY. Who or what are you? I want answers from you and I want you to give up that fallen you took as well," she said with anger after what he did to her friends. "I'm human," he said as he remembered Azazel's words. "I find that strong to believe. Do you have a sacred gear or something?" she asked. "Sacred what?" he asked. "Don't play dumb with me." Rias clenched her fists and her teeth were gritted. BROLY wanted to leave because Azazel told him about devils and their true nature. He wanted to leave and go find Rainier before Azazel got mad at him and start to hate him. Issei was sweating from the intense tension between the two. He felt as if he was only a gnat in a fight between a bear and a panther. "I need to go. My other classes will be starting soon." BROLY stood up and walked towards the door. "I don't think so. I'm not done talking," Rias said, but he ignored her and kept going. Rias looked over at Kaneko and she nodded her head. She launched herself at him and BROLY quickly turned around and he was punched in the face, causing a slight shockwave throughout the room. The heavy blow Kaneko landed did nothing to him. He stood there as if nothing ever happened and he removed her hand from his face. Rias's expression instantly changed from anger to utmost shock. Akino was just as shocked as Rias that someone was able to take a punch from Kaneko and stand there as if nothing happened. How are you doing that? Kaneko asked. Issei was about to PSS himself from fear. What are you? You can't be human because no human can take a punch directly in the face from Kaneko and be perfectly fine. So who or even what are you? Rias asked as sweat was going down her cheeks. BROLY didn't want to answer her, so he turned around and was about to leave, but Rias ran in front of him to block him from leaving. She had a serious look and she wanted answers from him if it's the last thing she did. He moved his hand to push Rias aside, but Kiba saw differently and he rushed him from behind and grabbed his collar. Oh, no you don't. BROLY's expression changed drastically to anger, and he turned around quickly and punched Kiba with a devastating punch that shattered most of Kiba's ribs. Kiba fell to the floor unconscious from that attack. If he was just a normal human, then he would have died. Akino, Kaneko, Issei, and Rias were like statues after having VIP seats to a one-sided fight. His power is far bigger than mine, it's as if his power is similar to mine. But he is on a scale that cannot even be measured, Kaneko said. BROLY regained control of himself and realized what he did, and he left the club room and headed straight for home. Rias was the most frightened or even the most terrified at seeing BROLY's kind and normal expression change into something that isn't even human. His eyes weren't gentle but filled with rage and anger. What just happened? Akino asked as she tried to get her bearings. I don't know, Rias said. Scene break. Rainier was able to return to her hideout, and it was some miracle that she was able to do so. Where did you go? We were waiting for you, so we could go and capture the nun, but she ended leaving and we have to wait until tomorrow to go after her. Calawarner said. Listen up, everything has gone to ruins and our whole operation is a bust. The devils know our hideout and they plan on attacking here soon, and we have a huge problem regarding Azazel. Rainier stated. How do you know this, and what are you even talking about? Donasik asked. I was captured and was brought to Azazel's home, she explained. You idiot, we're screwed now because of you. We have to leave now before they attack us, Midelt said. Is my expertise needed? Fried asked. Rainier glanced at him and the door to the church was launched at them, but luckily they were able to dodge it. Rias, Akino, and Kaneko entered the abandoned church, and they were all angry. Rainier and her group greeted the devils. Rias Gremory, what brings you here? Shouldn't you go be doing what you devils usually do? Collecting souls or whatever, she asked. I am doing what devils do, and that is removing filth such as yourself, she said. Rainier gritted her teeth, and she charged Rias with a light sword. Kaneko was fighting off both Donasik and Calawarner, and she was able to only use half her strength because of what the transfer student did to her. She punched Donasik dead center in the gut and made him hit a wall with high impact. Calawarner threw a light spear and it grazed Kaneko's cheek. She jumped up and grabbed Calawarner's leg and threw her to the ground, and Kaneko landed on her stomach, causing more damage to her. Midelt tried to cut Akino with a sword, but she kept on flying out the way. Akino was enjoying herself a little bit before ending this little charade with her. Midelt had enough of her little games, so she decided to throw multiple spears at her. Akino luckily dodged them, and she charged up her attack and shot lightning at her, making her immobile and unable to continue the fight. Donasik tried to sneak attack Akino, but Kaneko punched the ground, making it shake to make them lose balance. Donasik fell before Akino took the chance to torture him with her lightning. He fell unconscious and he was close to death. Rias was shooting Rainier with small amounts of magic to get her down from the air. Rainier waited for her chance, and she flew towards her with a sword in her hand. She swung it quickly, but one of Rias's magic shots was able to hit her and knock her back a little bit. Rias slowly walked up to her, and she raised her hand and a red ball started to charge up in her hand. This is the end for you, Fallen. Be sure to tell the others that they will be joining you and the others here very shortly. Rainier smirked and she sat up. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, Gremory. You don't know what I'm capable of or even what I have planned for the future. I know that fool is still alive. I think it would be best if you got rid of him before he awakens his sacred gear and kills us all. I'm not a murderer or whatever you are. I have a conscience. Besides, I have plans for that boy because that transfer student ruined everything and he hurt someone dear to me and I can't let that go. Rias said with hate. I'm gonna kill you slowly and I will dump your body in an alley. Do you hear me, Gremory? Rainier stood up and tried attacking her, but the ceiling collapsed and someone appeared in the middle of them. Oh my, this is such a terrible place to be, Penemu said. P. Penemu? Calawarner asked in shock. Rias backed down and backed away a little. Now then, what were the two of you just going to do? I hope you weren't going to kill each other and start another war over something so stupid because I hate war and it's too boring for me, she said. Rias, she has 10 wings. Isn't she a Cotter-class fallen angel? Aquino asked. Rias didn't answer her. I take it that you are their leader. What are you doing here and what are planning? Rias asked. Penemu crossed her arms under her enormous bust. I think you have it all wrong here, Rias Gremory. These rogue fallens don't work for me. I am simply here to arrest them and bring them back for questioning. I can't let you do that. They are in my territory and they are my responsibility. They deserve death, Rias said. Ha 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 ha, time to die, Freed yelled. Penemu created a small ball of holy magic and she swiped her hand sideways and the whole left side of the church vanished with Freed. Sorry, I can't have anyone getting in the way now. Penemu created multiple light spears and threw it around Rias and her peerage. If you try to get out, those spears will explode and we know that devils hate holy power. I guess this is goodbye, for now, toodles. Penemu teleported away with the 4 fallens. The 5 of them reached Azazel's home and they were all in the basement. Penemu turned around and faced Rainier specifically. I don't understand why you left, but now I think you will feel Azazel's punishment far worse. She left them with those words lingering in Rainier's head. Before I leave, take these and give them to your friends. She handed over 3 phoenix tears. How did you get these? Rainier asked, but she left without answering. Rainier gave the phoenix tears to her team and they were fully healed. The door opened up and Azazel, Barakiel, and BROLY all walked downstairs to meet them all. The 4 of them all stood side to side and they all kept their focus on Azazel. Rainier's eyes shifted a little and landed on BROLY. She saw that he was still in his school uniform. He looked sad and his eyes looked as if he was mad at himself. Tesk, tesk, tesk. I am honestly surprised at how much you disappoint me, Rainier. Now, I don't know what to do with you or the rest of you. I feel as if killing you is letting you off easily and imprisonment will not teach you anything. Azazel said as he started to think. Why don't we clip their wings off? Barakiel suggested. Rainier and her group held their breath and widened their eyes. No, I believe that punishment will be for Cockabeel, but I think we need something that will keep them from leaving or even having them sit all day in a cage. Azazel tapped his finger against his chin. What about chores? You made me do them for like 5 years, BROLY said. Azazel turned around to face him. Kid, I like your idea. A couple of minutes flew by and Rainier, Calawarner, and Midelt came out wearing maid outfits, and they were forced to clean the house spotless for as long as Azazel's lives. Donaseek was assigned to sort and properly organize thousands and thousands of paperwork. Barakiel walked over to Azazel and spoke softly. Why did you agree with this idea? I have it all planned all right up here. Look, I would have agreed with you in removing their wings, but an idea clicked into my head and having them work around the house will give BROLY a chance to make some friends while we are gone. Azazel said with a smile. That's smart of you, but I have some urgent news to relay to you. Vali has returned to QO and I think you know where this will go if he finds. Barakiel coughed in his fist to point out the obvious. Azazel shook his head at how his life just went to SHT after sending him to school to make some friends. If you want, I can send him away, Barakiel suggested. Go ahead, he said. Rainier looked in a mirror at her new outfit, and she felt so ashamed and humiliated from the sight she was seeing. I have never looked so ridiculous in my life. Calawarner and Midelt walked up behind her. I agree with you there. This outfit is just too tight and it exposes me like never before, Calawarner complained. Time to suffer for the rest of my miserable life. Rainier walked over to the kitchen counter and grabbed a spray bottle and a clean rag and went to work. Calawarner and Midelt followed her lead and went to go do other jobs. Calawarner grabbed a broom and started to sweep and Midelt started to clean the dishes. There were at least 50 to 100 plates stacked and many other things. It seems like you have this handled, so I'm gonna go and have a chat with Vali. Barrakiel headed towards the door, but he stopped and turned around. I nearly forgot to ask, where is Penemu? Helping the kid out with homework or more like trying to get into his pants. Anyway, I need to track down Cockabeel before he does something that will screw us all. Azazel left to go make some calls. Rainier looked around and saw guards at every entrance, and she knew that if she tried to escape, she would probably die. I hate my life and I hate every stupid human, stupid devils, and most of all, that stupid BROLY kid, she yelled. She turned around and bumped into someone. Watch where you go. Her mouth went agape as she realized who was standing there. You're... Rainier stared into the eyes of the person she bumped into. Her eyes were unable to look away and a tint of red appeared on her cheeks as she tried to get a grip of herself. Rainier, I wasn't expecting to see you here of all places because last I heard you went rogue, let alone in a maid outfit. Are you into cosplaying now because I won't judge if you are, he asked her. Rainier ignored his words. Why you here? And no, I am not, she yelled. I have finished my missions, so I have a clear schedule, and I have returned to report in and see what my next task is. But if that means you're here, then that means that your whole team is here as well, I assume. Calawarner walked in on the two, and her eyes shot wide open. Tobio Icus, what are you doing here? Calawarner asked as she tried to get a grip. Rainier looked down and tried to hold herself together. It's been a very long time since she has seen him, and it was her second crush after Azazel wasn't really paying attention to her. In the end, he disappeared for a while without leaving a letter or anything telling them where he went. I don't understand, what are you really doing back here? Rainier asked again as she had a serious look while still having the tint of red on her cheeks. Tobio put his hands on his waist and smiled. I told you, I'm here to report back and get my next mission. The doors to BROLY's room opened up and Penemu came out. What's all this noise out here? I'm trying to help my innocent BROLY and all of you are too loud, she said with her arms crossed under her chest. Penemu, I wasn't expecting to see you here as well, Tobio said surprisingly. She looked over and was surprised to see him back. Tobio, I didn't know you returned. I assumed that everything went well and there were no problems, she asked out of curiosity. There were no problems during my mission, but I have to say, I wasn't expecting Rainier and her group to be back in the Grigori. Is Cockabeel dead then? Penemu shook her head. No, we don't have any idea where his current whereabouts are or who is in contact with him. We tried to scan for him over QO, but he is well cloaked, so we don't know what he is plotting or who he is working with, she said. I see. Does Vali know of this? No, he has been on a mission of his own, and we have just heard that he has returned back to town. Barrakiel is out looking for him as we speak. Things just keep getting more and more interesting, he said. BROLY appeared behind Penemu with his notebook in his hands. Miss Penemu, I still don't get this question, he said as he kept his eyes on the notebook. Rainier's eyes widened as she saw him appear. Penemu frowned a little bit. How many times do I have to tell you to lose the formalities with me? I told you that it is fine to just call me Penemu Bikasu, I don't mind it, she said. BROLY rubbed the back of his head. Sorry, I still think you are my teacher, so it's strong to forget that you aren't. Penemu couldn't resist herself, and she locked arms with him and pressed her melons against his arm. It's no worries. Now, what do you need help with? She asked as she leaned over to see what the problem was. Tobio's eyes hardened as he felt a strange power radiate off of him. His whole body was screaming at him to stay away from him as far as possible, but his mind was telling another story, and he should investigate this power. Who is he? Rainier walked up beside Tobio and kept looking at BROLY with flushed cheeks. His name is BROLY, and I wouldn't try anything stupid like challenging him because your chances of winning is 0%. That's not all. Your powers are completely on different scales. She spoke with honesty. Careful, Ray. You might be hurting my feelings. Rainier looked at him and showed him that she wasn't joking. So he's that strong? Interesting. Do you feel how much power is surrounding him? He asked her. I do, but I never felt anything so. Malice, Tobio said as he finished her sentence for her. Broly looked up and saw a new face. He got out of Penemu's grip and walked up to Tobio and extended his hand out with a smile to shake it since Azazel told him that shaking hands is a sign of trust, respect, balance, and equality. Hello, my name is Broly, he said kindly. Tobio looked at his hand for a bit before shaking it. Tobio Icuse, he said nonchalantly. Broly let go of his and returned it to his side. Nice to meet you, he said as he looked at Rainier and smiled while waving at her. Rainier flinched a little, but she slowly raised her hand up and waved back a little before putting her hand back down. Her mouth formed a frown as she saw this man she feared and wanted to stay away from only to treat her nothing with kindness and respect. She couldn't figure out if all this kindness was nothing but a facade to let her drop her guard. He walked past them and went into the kitchen to get a snack from a strong day of studying. Midelt wasn't paying attention to her surroundings and she bumped into him while holding a plate. The plate fell out of her hands and it smashed against the ground, shattering all around her. DBZ, watch where you're going, she yelled as she looked up to only be staring at someone's abdominal area. She looked up and saw Broly towering over her as if she was about to be squashed like a bug. I'm sorry, Her eyes widened as she saw him crouch down and started to pick up the pieces of the plate. Sorry, I should have watched where I was going. He apologized as he kept on picking up the pieces. Midelt thought that he was about to crush her under his foot, but was surprised to see him cleaning up her mess. What are you doing? This is my job, so leave this to me, she said. I was the one who bumped into you, so it's entirely my fault. I was taught that if you make a mess, you should clean it up. Don't worry about this, I can clean it up, Broly said with a smile as he picked up all the pieces and threw it in the trash. Midelt looked at this man as if he was some type of lunatic or something, but she didn't see anything of the sort. He was really nice and well brought up. Good, you understand then, she said as she went back to cleaning the dishes. Broly walked over to his cabinet that Azazel assigned him, and he grabbed a bag of chips and he walked away from the kitchen and decided to sit down and watch TV. He was pretty stunned at first that there were so many stations with people. Back on his homeworld, there wasn't anything of the sort. Azazel entered the living room and saw a lot of people in it. His eyes roamed around until he spotted Tobio not far from him. He walked up to him with both of his hands in his sleeves and greeted the young man. Tobio, I wasn't expecting you for another month at that. Azazel, you should know better. I get my jobs done unlike a certain someone we can all relate to. Azazel chuckled at his words before sitting down with Broly, who was completely entranced by the television. What brings you by? Did everything go smoothly with your mission, Bakasu? I hope you're not here to ask for something big, Azazel said as he leaned back to get comfortable. No, nothing of the sort. I just wanted to ask you if you have any other missions for me to fulfill. Besides, you seem like you've been busy while I was gone. Bakasu, you look like you have been recruiting more members, Tobio said as he glanced over to Broly. Azazel scratched the back of his head. I guess you can say that, but I believe I don't really have anything for you at the moment. Are you sure? I think so. I have heard that Cockabeel is still running around doing stuff without our knowledge of. Who knows, he could be plotting to destroy the entire town right now, and we wouldn't know, Tobio said. You may be right, but Cockabeel wants war. Every day I saw him and spoke with him. He would always be annoyed by all this political stuff we do, and he would always try to start something. Rainier and her group only left the Grigori so that I would notice her and accept her or even return the feelings, Azazel said as he sighed. Tobio leaned over a bit and looked at Azazel seriously. Then let me find him. Assign me this mission and I will find him for you. I can't let you do that. Cockabeel is a man who isn't to be taken so lightly since he was ruthless and merciless during the war. You could probably die and that wouldn't sit well for me. Azazel said seriously. Come on, Azazel. How many times have I disappointed you? Never, you always get everything finished. Tobio smirked and leaned back. Then let me just find him for you. I won't engage with him in any way. I will report about his whereabouts and everything else, so let me just do this for you. We all know what Vali would do to him, so let me do this for you before it gets ugly, sir. Tobio begged. Azazel shook his head in disbelief. Very well, go for it. Speak with Pen Bakasu. She had the last known location of Cockabeel before he went dark. Tobio smiled and he stood up, taking Azazel's hand and shaking it. Thanks, I won't let you down, he said as he gave BROLY one last glance before leaving to speak with Penemu. Scene break. The incident at the church didn't sit well with Rias as she was sitting in the clubroom thinking it over. A Cotter class fallen entering the church and retrieving the fallen angels that were in her territory without sending word made her gut feel weird, as if something big was about to go down if high-ranking officials were in her territory. Rias was expecting common foot soldiers here and there, but a Cotter in her territory meant big trouble. On her way back from the church, she contacted Sona and informed her about the situation. Rias, are you okay? Aquino asked, making her come out of her own little world. Forgive me, Aquino. I was spacing out a bit, Rias said as she regained her composure. Aquino forced a small smile, knowing what she was thinking about. She too was feeling angry and disgusted at seeing that many fallen in Qo, let alone a Cotter fallen. The wings of that woman reminded her of her father, and it filled her with so much hate. Rias looked down at her cup of tea that Aquino was handing over and saw that her hands were trembling. Aquino, are you all right? I know seeing those fallens remind you of. Rias stopped talking, so she wouldn't bring back those memories that her friend locked away. Yes, I'm doing fine. I just... Rias rested her hand on hers, trying to ease the pain a little. It's all right, you don't have to worry about it, Bakasu. I'm here for you whenever you need me, Rias said, making Aquino calm down a bit. Aquino smiled and she removed her hand so she could take the tray away to the kitchen. Rias sighed and she leaned back in her chair. Well, Kiba is going to be fine, and we are expecting him to fully recover in a month. Although, what that transfer student did to him was truly unforgivable, Rias said with malice. This also proves problematic for you as well, since you are a member short, and now you trying to challenge Riser to a rating game and coming out on top is a very low possibility, Aquino said. You're right. My chances of getting Issei to join me was ruined because of him. My life is going to be ruined, and all of my strong work of planning and trying to get away from this marriage will be ruined. I will be forced to get married to a jerk, and I can't do anything about it. Rias slammed her fist against her desk, cracking it as her magic power surrounded her. A knock came to the door and Sona walked in while closing the door behind her. Rias calmed herself and she looked at Sona with an angered expression. You know, Rias, I might have a solution to your problem actually, Sona said. Rias's demeanor changed and she looked at her with a confused expression. Sona walked over to her desk and sat down in front of her. She crossed her legs while looking completely professional as she sat in a posture, showing her and everyone else that she means business. What are you talking about? Rias asked. While Kiba is recovering from what has happened to him, I would say go and look for someone to take his place. Then, I started giving it some thought and came up with this. Rias crossed her arms as she was waiting for her idea. Why don't you have the man responsible for your knight's condition take his place? You want to punish him. Have him join your team to help you out with your dilemma, Sona said. Rias had to make sure she heard that right. Hang on, you want me to invite the transfer student who has pummeled both Kiba and Koniko with ease to join my team? Yes, Sona said. You must be crazy to think that I would have someone such as him join me, Rias complained as she flipped her hair over her shoulder. Sona smiled as she was hiding a crucial detail. We all felt his mysterious power as soon as he entered the academy, and now this can be our chance to actually know a little about him and where his power comes from. So you want me to recruit him, so we can spy on him? Rias asked. If you want to think it that way, then I guess. He won't be with you forever, Rias. He is just a temporary replacement until Kiba returns, but we have to be wary as well around him because something is completely off of him. Sona warned her. Rias recalled a memory as she took Sona's words in admiration. Seeing his face when Kiba tried to grab his necklace was one of the most terrifying things she has ever seen. It's as if she was looking at a monster than a human being. She shook it off and looked back at Sona. Very well then, I guess I will go speak with him. I have his transfer papers here, so I will go and see what his opinion is about this sea. Rias said as she stood up from her chair. Akino's mood changed as she heard that Rias will be visiting that cute boy's home. I guess I will come along as well, Akino said as she stood beside Rias. Sona repositioned her glasses and stood up as well. Good luck, Rias. I heard that more strays have been appearing here in Qo for some practical reason, Sona said as she left the clubroom. Let us go then, Rias said as she and Akino teleported near his home. Scene break. BROLY was sitting on the couch watching television since everyone has left the house except for 4 of the Fallens. Azazel had to go to another meeting while Penemu had to go to another country to investigate the rumors of the Holy Swords. Tobio left a while back to go look for Cockabeel and his followers. Rainier and Calawarner finished up their chores and were sitting adjacent to BROLY. Donasek was still organizing papers and Midelt was now cleaning up the kitchen after she finished up with the dishes. What would you like us to do now, Lord B. BROLY? Rainier asked as she had a strong time saying that. BROLY looked over and handed the bag of chips over to her. You don't have to call me that, I'm no lord and all I want is for us to be friends. If you finished everything, then you can watch TV with me if you want, BROLY said with a smile. Rainier grabbed the bag of chips reluctantly and she looked away from him to not see his cheerful face. BROLY stood up and started to head towards the bathroom until his wrist was grabbed and he looked over to see who grabbed it. Rainier's body moved on her own as she didn't really know why she grabbed his wrist. He was looking at her with a curious expression, but Rainier had the slightest clue what to say right now. Her mind was like scrambled eggs until something quickly appeared in her head and spoke out without thinking. Where are you going? Rainier realized that her saying that sounded as if she didn't want him to leave. I have to use the bathroom, he said casually. Rainier's grip loosened and she slowly retracted her hand back a little. Oh, she said as she leaned back. BROLY left and went to the bathroom to relieve himself. The sound of the doorbell was heard and BROLY was too busy with the toilet, so he couldn't go and answer it. I'll get it, Calawarner yelled out as she went over to the door and opened it, revealing the Gremory princess and her queen standing beside her with surprised looks. Rainier peeked over the couch to see that Gremory beach. She jumped out of her seat and stood beside Calawarner. What do you want? How did you even find this place? That's odd. How come we weren't able to sense their magic powers? Akino wondered. Rias quickly realized that Cotter took those Fallens here, and if they're here, then it meant that she was here as well. Rias and Akino had magic power forming in their hands and were about to blast them all to nothing. But BROLY finished up and appeared at the door. Rias and Akino lowered their hands and the magic in their hands dispersed. What are you doing here? BROLY asked. I think we should be asking you why are fallen angels living with you? Rias asked. Fallen angels? I'm not sure what you mean, BROLY asked as he lied to them. Cut the CRP. I know you know about the supernatural. We came here to discuss with you about something, but you seem to be working with the Fallens. What are you planning? Do you want to try and start something with us? Rias asked as she had her arms crossed while her eyes were narrowed. BROLY was a little bit confused by her words. If you're talking about them, they are harmless and I just want to finish school and live a good life with my friends, BROLY answered honestly. Oh, I forgot. Please come in. BROLY gestured for them to come in and they did. BROLY was about to head to the kitchen to get them something to drink since Azazel always told him to show the highest respect for any guests that come over and visit. Calawarner put a hand on his shoulder and he stopped. This is my job, so please sit, sir, she said. I can't let you do that. You done your job for the day, so let me get it for them, BROLY said as he gave her a smile, making her confused by his generosity and kindness since she hasn't met a man who shows such things. BROLY came back with 2 glasses and a big pitcher of lemonade and he poured them a glass. Akino thanked him and Rias didn't say anything as she was losing more and more of her patience with him. BROLY sat down and he looked at them and was waiting for them to say something. I have to ask, why are you with fallen angels? They are manipulative, liars, killers, and not trustworthy. I don't understand why you would live or even work with them since they always try to do something behind everyone's backs. Rias said. BROLY scratched his cheek. I'm not working with them or anything. I'm living here and the people here are kind and respectful and they gave me a home, a new life, and a new purpose. I owe them everything and I want to repay them for what they have done for me. BROLY explained to them as images of Azazel, Barakiel, and Penemu appeared in his head. So you feel indebted to them? Aquino asked. BROLY nodded his head. Still, you are living with the Fallens who were hiding in that church. They were planning on doing something, but a Cotter-class Fallen stopped us before we could kill them, Rias said. BROLY clenched his fist as he heard that she was going to kill them if Penemu hadn't stopped her. His teeth were clenched, and he was trying to calm himself before the collar shocks him from going over a certain limit of power. Everyone felt his increase of power, but it quickly started to reside. Anyway, I will tell you this. From this point on, you will be supervised from one of my members or Sonas since you are a complete mystery, Rias said. Is that all you devils have to say? Rainier asked with an annoyed tone. No, my reason for coming here is that I need your help with something, and you will do it without complaint. BROLY was confused by her confession. Why don't you have your friends help you? I'm a little bit busy at the moment since I need to study, BROLY said. Aquino let out a chuckle. Ara, the reason why she is asking for your help is you practically nearly killed one of our friends, and he is being treated in the underworld as we speak, Aquino said. BROLY looked sad after hearing that. He had no intentions of hurting any of them, but he tried to grab his collar, and that is something you don't just grab with no repercussion. BROLY lowered his head a bit and apologized, surprising the devils. Sorry for hurting your friend, I had no reason to, but he tried to touch something that he wasn't supposed to, BROLY said as he lifted his head up. Rias cleared her throat and she accepted his apology, but she didn't forgive him. Anyway, you will only be temporary replacement until Kiber returns, she said. What exactly do you need me to do? Rias raised her finger in the air as she started to explain to him. It's simple really, you will help me in a fight with someone. If I were to win, then I wouldn't have to be forced into a marriage, Rias said. Fighting is bad and it leads to people hating you forever, BROLY said. True, but this entirely different. So you have to fight in order to make a point to someone if words won't cut it. Some people just can't register words in their heads and they will just go straight to something else, such as fighting, Rias explained. Rias is right, Riser can't really make a deal with words, so he said if we can win against him in a fight, then she would be free from this marriage, Aquino said. I see, but I'm not too sure if I can help since I need permission, BROLY said. Wait, you need permission? Why can't you just do what you want on your own? Rias asked. BROLY had a nervous smile as he scratched the back of his head. Well, I can't since I can be dangerous to the people around me if I'm not careful or even stable. The front door unlocked and it opened up, revealing Penemu as she entered the house. She shut the door behind her and saw BROLY and pounced on him and shoved his head between her massive tits. Oh, my sweet little BROLY. I couldn't leave, so I decided to come back. She rested her chin on top of his head as she held him close. Rias and Aquino both looked at the scene before them with awe. Aquino's eyes saddened and Rias got angry after seeing her here. Excuse me, but what do you think you're doing? Rias asked. Penemu let go of him and sat beside him. Rias Gremory and Aquino Heimjima. I must say it's a surprise to see you here, but I have to ask, why are you here? We were here to talk with him, but since you're here, I wanted to ask you what you're doing in my territory, Rias asked. Penemu crossed her legs and smiled. I live here and I am BROLY's guardian or more like his little helper. I guess you can say I grown fond of him. Penemu looked at him as a blush formed on her cheeks, but BROLY didn't see as he was focused on Rias and Aquino. You living here doesn't justify the means. Why are you really here? She asked again, but with a colder tone. Penemu waved her hand as she chuckled a little. My, such a bold one we have here, but I'm not at liberty to say. You can ask our leader once he returns since he could give you every bit of information you're looking for. You're a cotter, so why don't you tell us? You have the power to do so. My poor little Rias. Your mind isn't processing my words. I told you that I'm not at liberty to say because I don't have extreme authority like the governor, and if I were to truly tell you what we're doing here, then those problems would be all on me and I can't have that. She said. Yay? What about those behind you? Rias pointed at Rainier and her group. Ah, those worked for the governor until they followed someone who went rogue just recently. We are fixing the problem, so don't worry little Princess Bakasu, you don't have to do a thing. Penemu said as it sounded as if she was mocking her. A tick mark appeared on Rias's forehead and she had to refrain herself from trying to kill her. Akino decided to ask a question. Is that man here by any chance? She asked as her bangs covered her eyes. Penemu looked over at her and her eyes softened. No, he isn't. Of course he isn't Bikasu, it seems when you need him the most. He just isn't around. Akino stood up and Rias did the same. Have a chat with your guardian and see if you can help. I will be looking forward to your answer by tomorrow and don't try anything stupid. Rias said as she and Akino teleported back to their club room. Penemu sighed as she saw Akino's expression. She knew that she hated him, but she didn't expect to see her hate this much for him. Barraquil will be devastated after he hears about this, but she decided that would be a tomorrow's problem. BROLY turned towards her and told her about everything they told him. I see. I think you should ask Azazel and see what he says. I feel as if that this is not a really good idea, but if you want to do this, then I will stand by your side. The final decision comes from Azazel, so let's just see what he says. BROLY smiled and he went to his room to get changed into his training outfit to go train. He wrapped his tail around his waist and tied a towel over his waist to hide the tail. After he was done getting changed, he went downstairs and got started. Penemu sighed and was worried if he lost control if he were with them. But what truly gave her paranoia was the fact that the devils now knew the hideout of the fallen angels, and if they were to report it, there would be bloodshed. I can only hope. The morning came quicker than BROLY anticipated. He looked at his clock to see to it's 5:30 and he had to quickly get ready. He threw all of his books and papers in his bag and got dressed into his school uniform. He quickly stopped everything and heard a knock at the door. He rushed over and opened the door. Rainier blushed a little as she saw him looking down at her with those eyes of his. Rainier, what are you doing up so early in the morning? You should get some sleep, BROLY said. Rainier poked her fingers repeatedly as she was a little bit nervous. I came here to wake you up for school and breakfast. But it would appear that you were already awake and I didn't need to come to wake you up, she said. BROLY smiled innocently and patted her head twice. It's all right, Azazel trained me to wake up early in the morning for 5 years, so you don't have to worry about waking me. You should go back and rest up before you start work, BROLY said. Rainier's eyes widened at the head pat she got from him. She moved away from him and avoided eye contact as she was blushing madly. Whatever, just go and eat before I change my mind. BROLY grabbed his bag and walked past her and sat down at the table where Azazel was reading a newspaper. Azazel didn't move his eyes from the paper as he spoke with BROLY. So, kid, I heard a lot of things from Penemu that Rias and her queen found out about Penemu and the gang. I'm a bit disappointed, but you can't change something that is due to happen, he said. BROLY bowed his head. Sorry, sir. It was my fault for being so reckless. He apologized. Azazel grinned and he couldn't get mad at him, it just wasn't in his nature. Stop calling me, sir. We're way past that and you can just call me Azazel. BROLY lifted his head and apologized again. Azazel sighed as Penemu entered the dining room and sat down beside BROLY. You're so nice that it truly shocks me, she said. I agree, but what he told us about his people, we were lucky to have nurture and raise the boy correctly. I still feel bad for keeping him locked up and all, so that is why I am agreeing for him to help out Rias with her little marriage problem, Azazel said. Penemu choked on a piece of toast that she was chewing and had to quickly pour down some juice to clear her throat. Did I hear that right? If you were choking that badly, then I would assume so. Penemu slammed her fist against the table. Why must he do that? Why are you treating him as a tool to help out everyone in distress? Why does it seem that I am the only one trying to care for his well-being? She yelled. Azazel put the paper down and sighed heavily. Pen, just hear me out. If we have BROLY help out Rias, then she could be rest assured that he won't try to do anything funny behind their backs. We wouldn't be in the crosshairs of the devils anymore if BROLY settles this little debut. Azazel explained. Penemu raised a brow at him. You want them to trust him? She asked. Exactly. If we were to start war with them, then we would lose a tremendous amount of troops and we would be left defenseless. I hate the idea of using BROLY as a tool, trust me. I would have Vali do it, but he is so stuck up for revenge that it's blinding him. Penemu sighed as she fully understood his words. Fine then, but I have limits on how much you can use your power, she said. BROLY listened in carefully. All right, you are not to fly or use your energy to fight them off. Kicking and punching is allowed, so feel free to go all out if you'd like. And also, you will still hide your tail with a towel as usual. Penemu whispered the last part. BROLY nodded his head and shoved the entirety of his food down the hatch. Azazel shook his head as he took a sip of his coffee. Remember to chew, kid. Be careful and don't do anything stupid. Azazel told him as he went back to reading his newspaper. BROLY, I will walk you to school, Penemu said. You don't have to do that. I don't want anyone to see you and try to kill you because of your heritage. I think it would be better for me to go at it alone and come back alone. I truly care about you and everyone here to the point where I don't even want to see a scratch on you, BROLY said. Penemu was about to tear up from his words, but Azazel killed the mood. Don't worry, kid. We old folks aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Penemu turned towards Azazel and glared at him. I hate you, was all she said before getting to work. Calawarner entered the dining room with more toast and eggs. She placed the food on a plate for them to grab it. Azazel looked at her and raised his hand in a stop motion, signaling her that it's enough for today. Calawarner bowed and went to go put the dirty dishes in the sink. BROLY thanked the cook with a heartwarming smile, making the blood flow to her cheeks. He stood up and dusted himself off and grabbed his plate and walked over to the counter and started to clean it. What are you doing? That's my job, Midult yelled. I don't want to make you do all the dishes alone. I was taught to clean up after myself, BROLY said, making Midult's eyes soften a little. After he cleaned up his plate, he grabbed his bag and looked at the clock. His eyes widened and he quickly dashed for the door and opened it wide, forgetting to shut it. Azazel shook his head as he took a sip of his coffee. That kid is a mess sometimes. Calawarner walked over to the door and closed it. Unbeknownst to BROLY, there was someone looking through the window as his figure slowly became smaller and smaller as he went further away. A hand made its way to the window, and it rested there. Why does it feel like we're drifting further and further apart as you keep on growing? I wish you were still that silly and angry child from back then. I remember holding you close every single night to make you fall asleep and making you feel loved when you thought you weren't. Penemu said as tears started to roll down her cheek. So why? Why does my heart ache so badly when I see you being used as a weapon? Penemu fell on her knees and let her tears out as BROLY disappeared from her eyes. After hauling butt to school to not be late, he reached the school campus in the nick of time. He let out a victory sigh and he started to walk towards the main doors of the school. Before he could enter the building, Kaneko was standing outside with a bored expression. He stopped and looked down at her to see what she has to say. Listen up, brute. After school hours are finished, report back to Rias in her club room, Kaneko said as she walked away with those words. BROLY didn't say anything, and he was about to walk into the building and stopped again and felt multiple power levels all around the school. He knew the current people's levels, but this power was entirely different to him. It felt as if fire was in his face, but he decided to ignore it and go straight to class before getting yelled at. The teacher was in the middle of teaching class and everyone was taking notes as she explained. Issei was busy looking out the window and was completely focused on other things than class. BROLY was trying his hardest to write down every word she said so he could have an easier time remembering. Some of the students were bored out of their minds while some continued to listen. The teacher made her way down BROLY's row and he was entranced with his notebook that everything and everyone around him was irrelevant. She walked past him and her eyes spotted his notebook and saw 2 pages completely filled out with words. She turned towards him and called out his name. but there wasn't a response until she called on him again and touched his shoulder. BROLY returned back to Earth and looked at his teacher. "What are you doing, BROLY?" she asked with a confused tone, but asked nicely nonetheless. "I'm writing down notes like you told us to do," he said. Her eyes widened and she got a closer look. She was stunned at how precise he wrote his notes, since all of the notes he took were like 85% exactly the words she spoke. "BROLY, I told the class to just summarize it. You didn't have to write every word by the book," she explained. "I was told to write everything down, even if it's not important," he said. She couldn't really think of anything to say back, so she decided to go back to the front of the class, but the bell rang and she stopped teaching. Everyone left quickly, but BROLY took his time and packed everything up. His teacher walked up to him and looked at him with a confused look. "BROLY, I realized that you don't go to any clubs or hang out with anyone in school. Why is that?" she asked. He was looking at his bag as he was putting away his books and utensils away. "I don't have any friends in school and I am supposed to always go straight home after school." She widened her eyes and was really shocked to hear that. She couldn't believe that a kind and gentle person doesn't have any friends. She was confused at why he didn't have any, so she was going to ask him. "BROLY, can I ask WH?" BROLY looked at the time and saw he was running late. "Sorry, but I have to go now." He dashed out the door and left her standing there speechless. Scene break. "I'm sorry, sir. You can't enter the premises. If you are picking someone up, then you will have to wait here until that person comes out," the security guard said. Vali sighed as he stood at the entrance of the gate. "This is getting annoying, so whatever, because I got other things to do," Vali said as he leaned up against a tree. He was getting looks from all the women, and there were whispers of how gorgeous he looked. Vali ignored them, of course, but he was losing patience as he was standing outside of the school. "How did I even get myself into this situation?" Flashback. The doors opened to the house and both Barakiel and Vali entered. They were greeted by the maids who quickly realized who was inside the house. Rainier, Calawarner, and Midelt all were sweating from how nervous they were. "TT the WD Dragon Emperor," Rainier said nervously. Vali squinted his eyes and was caught off guard for a second. "Rainier, what are you and your group doing back here? I thought you went rogue and joined up with Cockabeel," he asked her. "You, about that. I act to. It's a long story, just come with me," Barakiel said as he answered for her. "Whatever you say." Vali shrugged his shoulders and left with Barakiel to go meet up with Azazel. They entered his office and was greeted by him. "It truly has been a while, Vali," Azazel said with a smile. Vali sat down in front of him and brushed off his little greeting. "Why did you send someone to fetch me? Do you need something, because by the looks of it, everything seems to be in order?" Azazel chuckled a little. "Oh, no. I actually wanted to discuss with you something very important actually." Vali raised a brow and looked at him weirdly. Azazel cleared his throat. "Did you come back to QO because of the Red Dragon Emperor or because of something else?" Azazel said as he hardened his eyes, saying the last part. "I'm surprised you knew. I sensed that my rival was here, but the person hasn't awakened him yet. I'm here to find this person and awaken him, so I could fight him," Vali said. "It's always fighting with you," Azazel said. Vali smirked. "Life is just too boring and everyone I have fought with are nothing but disappointments, and they can't even bring a worthy challenge." Azazel sighed and stretched his muscles. He looked over at the clock and saw it was pretty late. "DMN, Vali, could you do me a favor and go to QO Academy and fetch BROLY for me? I completely lost track of time." Vali looked at him weird and had to process his words. "You want me to go to school and get someone for you?" Azazel nodded his head. "I'm not an errand boy. If you won't go get him, then I gladly will," Penemu said as she stood behind him with a piercing glare. "Penemu, it sure has been a while, and feel free to do so because I don't have time to go babysit a student," Vali said. Azazel's lips formed into an evil grin. "Did I forget to mention that the Red Dragon Emperor goes to that school?" Azazel said. Vali's eyes widened and he quickly stood up. "Show me where this school is." "Splendid," Azazel said. Flashback end. Vali shook his head in shame as he stood outside for 10 minutes. He was bored out of his mind until someone walked past him and only looked with his eyes, and he did the same in return. Their eyes locked with each other and felt something off about each other. I heard a lot about that boy. The school pervert. Indeed, I sensed something off about him. There is a weird power lurking deep within him, Albion said. Whatever, we will deal with that idiot later. Understood, partner. Who in the hell was that person? Something felt completely off about him. Wait a second. Is he a weird creature as well with black wings? Issei asked himself. Ah, F this. I'm not gonna try and play detective. Issei's walk speed slowly decreased and stopped in the middle of the street before he turned around and looked back at the school. He decided to play detective after all. He ran towards a tree and hid behind it and spied on the mysterious person. I'm so stupid. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Liquid's Wrath on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.